Hey guys, welcome back to Strip by Sia, your podcast for strippers, sex workers, and all the naked people. And we definitely have a fun naked person here today who goes by the name of Brent Ray Fraser. Yay, say hello.
Hi.
He's kind of known for penis paintings. I don't know how else I can describe it. And his nakedness, which we're going to get into very, very soon. But please welcome Brent on the show today. Hello.
Hey.
How's that for an intro?
Self-clap.
I don't know much about you, but we're going to learn much more about you on today's episode. So do you want to kind of go into who you are, what you do, naked life?
Sure. I don't even know where to begin. My name is Brent. I've been making art since I was 3 years old. I started painting with my fingers and made quite a lot of beautiful abstract paintings with my digits and kind of stuck to it all the way up to now. I'm 41 years old. I live in Fort Langley, British Columbia, Canada, and I've been living inside of my art studio for the past 16 years. And that's where I kind of taught myself to do all forms of art, including performance art, stripping, penis painting, nutsack painting, anal paintings, all forms of body art and performance, and all within the walls of my studio, mostly via webcam.
Oh.
Actually, that was my first big audience.
Okay.
The digital world.
Okay, so let's, I guess, segue into that then.
Sure.
So, webcamming. So camming, but not really web.
I started stripping. I started doing all types of sexualized performance art, you could say, and a friend of mine, our mutual friend, said, you should be doing your shows and your paintings on this website. And this website back then was called Cam4, probably still around.
That's like a regular camming site?
Yep.
Okay.
You know what, I did that for about 3-4 years and gained a huge following, and then moved on to a site called chatterbait.com.
Oh, yes. We love Chatterbait.
It's been my home stomping grounds for the past 5 years.
Okay.
So I've been doing webcam for quite a long time, and I love it. It's an instant audience with the click of a button.
Yeah, it's great, and also great money. So, I mean, as you guys have heard in other episodes, camming is awesome. Very,
very good money, and you can quit your job and do that.
Okay, so going back to the camming, so did you have any hesitations or anything like that before going into it? Like, oh my gosh, who's going to see me naked? Like, did you have any of that vulnerability?
100%, yeah. And the thing is, I found with webcamming is that the more naked you are, the more attention gets drawn to your room, and you want to get those followers into your room and watching. You want as many eyeballs as possible, and you meet people from all walks of life in these chat rooms. They're not just people that are perverts and stuff like that. Everybody's a pervert, let's just be honest here. But you meet magazine editors, TV show producers, all sorts of walks of life that can actually open many doors for you. And I didn't realize that until I started exposing myself on live webcam. And, what I mean by exposing myself is just being more free with myself inside the walls of my safe zone in my studio, and just kind of expressing myself using my body. I guess having fun with that vulnerability and more taking control of it, and counteracting that shyness that I used to have when I was a young boy.
Used to have, and that must have been a long time ago, I want to say.
The first time I remember being shy and feeling vulnerable was in grade 1. It was during art time, and because I've been able to draw and paint really well since I was born, really, I'd always have people watching me draw, like wrestlers or dinosaurs, or
just doing
I'm 5-6 years old, and people are crowding around my desk and making me feel uncomfortable. It was that stereotypical insecure artist who just wants to go in the corner and draw, I guess, and not show their work because of fear of criticism. Right. And these kind of traits, they lasted all the way through high school and I went to Emily Carr, graduated with my fine arts degree, and still at that point I was still wanting to be a famous artist, but not being able to go up in front of a class and show my work kind of getting flustered and red-faced and sweaty hands and, having those, I guess just fears, fear of being yourself, and because that's what artists are. When they put a painting up on the wall, they're putting a piece of themselves up there and opening themselves up to other people's minds. And stripping got me out of that. And
I was gonna ask, so when did you overcome your shyness?
Yeah,
you're definitely not shy no more.
My dad, he's a professional engineer, and he does. He's very smart. He's very outgoing. He gets up in front of audiences and does lectures to students at like BCIT and stuff like this, and I always admired him for being able to get up and give speeches and talk and feel very comfortable. My mom, on the other hand, she is kind of the opposite. She was more the shy person, and these were my mentors growing up. And my dad, I asked him for his advice one day. How do I get rid of this shyness? And he said that cliche thing to picture everybody in their underwear, kind of thing.
Right.
Kind of jokingly he said that, but I was in my final year of art school, and I'm like, maybe I can take this shyness and counteract it with an art project. And I thought, you know what, if I could be the one that's exposed, if I could do the opposite and just kind of completely expose myself in front of people, well, where do you get the opportunity to do that?
Right.
So one of my first jobs was a topless bartender on Davie Street.
Okay.
At I think it was the Pump Jack, actually.
Wow.
And I was working the well there with another guy, and the other guy, he happened to be a stripper. And at the time, I didn't know much about stripping. I'd never seen a male stripper, that's for sure. I've seen female strippers, but I was fascinated by this guy, and he was telling me, that he's got this agent, and he's like, well, if you want to do this project where you want to become a stripper for, I thought I would do it at an art show, and I would put up a bunch of art.
Yeah.
And then kind of not tell anybody, but just kind of turn the lights off, and boom, here comes the stripper kind of coming out, and, make some paintings with my body. And that's when I started making paintings with my body, was that art show. And,
whoa, okay. So many things.
Kind of,
Okay, holy crap.
Going off here on the sidebar.
No, that's okay. We like tangents. Okay, wait. But going back to stripping. Actually, sidebar. So, I am pretty sure I met you a very long time ago. By chance. Because I think you were friends with another mutual friend who was also a male stripper, whose stage name was Raphael.
Okay, yes.
Yeah,
that's
I think
right.
I met you one time.
You know what? I'm looking at you, I'm like...
his apartment.
You know what? Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
What were we doing in the apartment?
I don't know. That's for the audience, too.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
2 strippers, you, and some other people, or...
I don't know. I think you just popped by or something like that. It was just back in, New West.
Yeah, I remember those days. Yeah.
Well, this is, 12... 10 years ago.
This is long before Magic Mike, and the stripping world was a little bit different for male strippers back then than it is now.
Oh, really? Can you speak on that?
I think that Magic Mike, that whole thing, it spiked everything, and people started wanting to, do private parties, stagettes, bachelorette parties, ladies' nights, and troops just traveling around, and I've been a part of several, and just doing shows in small cities and small towns and villages and, and construction sites. And
sounds great.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's been a surge in that then.
A surge in that, and but it also brought to light more of the dancing scene and that Magic Mike kind of stereotypical, kind of dance genre, and the song Pony, and things like this,
yes.
And people hear it and they go bananas. But back before that, it seemed it was a bit different, because the mentors that I had back then there was a guy named Richard Richards, and I don't know if he's still an agent, but it was just it was a whole other world, and I found that that's when I started doing more performance art, was doing stuff on that circuit and bringing large canvases to the ladies' nights and painting large canvases, 10 feet by 5 feet.
Because did you ever dance at any of the clubs, like the Cecil or
Cecil,
like Fever?
Fever, yeah. Mugs and Jugs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Caddyshack. I mean, there's quite a few of them.
You don't really see that nowadays.
Not as much anymore.
I don't
no.
see that ever.
No.
Like, yeah, I think now, as you said, it's more like private parties and stuff like that. And that's how I met Raphael, because I hired him for one of my parties many moons ago. But okay, so I guess the dynamic has changed, and that's really interesting coming from like a male perspective, because the industry has changed a lot for us female dancers. Like the money is just like not the same and stuff, and it's just clubs are closing down, as I mentioned in episode 2 of the podcast. But it's just totally different. So it's really cool that you found a niche and a way for you to marry your art with also stripping. I think it's really fascinating. Yeah,
it started with that, and then
with bringing your canvases to the club.
Yeah, bringing the canvas. You know what? I was stripping for 3-4 years before I started painting on stage, and I was doing dancing, Tao shows, fire shows, things like this, and lap dances, and just stereotypical male stripper stuff.
Yeah.
Once I brought in the canvas and the paint, everything changed. And the idea for doing that came from 2 passions that I had clashing against each other. And kind of like, I fell in love with stripping and becoming comfortable in my own skin and entertaining people and making people feel happy and all this kind of stuff. All the great things about stripping. But I wanted to be a famous painter. I wanted to have art shows. I wanted to go to New York. I wanted to travel the world. And my heroes were Jackson Pollock, Andy Warhol, Yves Klein, Mark Rothko, all these great artists. And so they fought against each other. And when you want to be taken seriously as an artist, a fine artist, and doing stripping on the side, I have had agents that have told me to separate the two, or don't do the stripping, don't tell anybody about it, this kind of stuff for quite a few years. And I hid it from my family for about 4 years of doing it, because I felt like I was I felt semi-ashamed of doing it, I guess.
Oh.
Because I had gone to art school, I wanted to be a famous artist, and I mean that was then, and I think about it a lot differently now, trust me. But those 2 passions were fighting so much that I just had an aha moment where I'm like, well, let's paint on stage. That way I'm making art. I'm making art. Stripping is making art.
It is,
it's the same thing. But the mentality of me back then, I was a bit more naive with it all and new to it all, and things were just different back then as they are now. And with the internet, and I was stripping before internet days, and making videos, and just making videos felt to learn to watch myself, and
to get
feedback and make little videos, and I don't know.
Videos for yourself.
But I started painting on stage, and I thought it would be witty to use my penis. But the first idea to use my penis as a tool to create art was probably 12-13 years ago. And I was finishing up my art degree and really heavily into the arts and art history and body art, and I thought it would just be kind of a fun, witty, kind of conceptual art piece to capture my sexuality on canvas. So that would entail me masturbating with paint.
Oh, wow.
Getting myself aroused, and then pressing my erection against the surface and creating a relief. And I've told people that these reliefs, these first monoprint erection paintings, were kind of inspired by Andy Warhol and his printmaking factory, and making multiples from one thing. So using the same tool, my penis and my balls, and pressing it. And I've made thousands of these self-portraits, and they all look different, and they're different colors, and they're like a emblem for my, I guess, creative freedom, and me unleashing my fear of being myself. And people collect these penis paintings now, but I made those for so many years, and then just because I'm an artist, and artists are always evolving and thinking about things.
Yeah.
I thought maybe I could paint what else can I do with my penis instead of imprinting it? Well, it's a tool, like a ballpoint pen, you could say, and let's see if I can draw with it. So I started, my first large-scale penis paintings were 10, 20 feet long by 8 feet high recreations of masters in art history like Roy Lichtenstein, or, the Mona Lisa, several Warhol paintings, and just kind of copying them, but not really copying them, just kind of like sexualizing their paintings, and kind of collaboration, because most of my famous artists they're dead. So I always thought it would be a nice tribute to them, and I think that they would be very very honored.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you think they would react to that?
To be coming out of the end of my penis, So it's tongue-in-cheek kind of art, and it's fun, and it was witty, and I did that for many years, and these paintings, sometimes take 1 to 2 weeks to finish, and a lot of hard work went into these paintings, and because I'm teaching myself along the way, they don't teach you that type of body art in school.
No, they don't.
So there's a lot of risks and a lot of, let's just say I could teach a whole curriculum on penis painting and how not to hurt yourself and how not to get blood into the canvas.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, right.
I don't know anyone that does this. Like, you must be the only person that's doing this, I feel like.
You know what? There's many people on the planet. I'm the only one that does what I do. Yes. People do paint with their body. Yeah, let's go with that. No one else is doing that because I don't know anybody else that's doing it. So,
like, how did you even how are your first pieces of art when you were first kind of experimenting with this? Do you remember those?
Well, aside from the pressings, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have them all. I've kept them all.
Oh, wow.
I remember every painting that I've ever made.
Wow.
Going back to nursery school, my finger paintings.
Amazing.
I can just remember them all, and some of those large scale ones I had more fun than others. All of the large scale penis paintings were done on webcam, so I have video footage of them all.
Very
so I can
cool.
watch myself make them and
your process too.
in the process, and engaging with the audience while I'm doing it, and putting on a show and flexing and all these kind of great things.
Right.
And naturally, because I'm in front of a cam and I'm on a porn site, my performances became highly sexualized, big time. And that's a whole other level of performance art, let's just say, because you're bringing in heightened emotions and horny sensations. Ta-da!
I like it. Oh my gosh. So I guess when you first started camming and with your art, was that more okay, the camera's on in the background and you acknowledge that there are people watching and stuff too, and how was your evolution and your process? How did it go from that to something that's more performative? Because there's a big difference between that.
Yeah, there is. When I paint, I go into a creative zone, and I stop thinking about the camera, and I become more, just comfortable in my space and in my creative space. And I could last for a couple hours where I forget that there's anybody watching, and turn back on, look at the cam, and there's 2,000 people watching me. And
wow.
And people in cam world, when they see me painting, I make less money than I do if I'm engaging with them and talking with them. And so I like to intermingle the both, and I'll take breaks.
How do you balance that? Because that can be kind of hard sometimes. You want to just always be constantly on your computer. You want to be able to, create your art.
My art comes first, so the balance just comes from that. And I, when I go into that zone, like I said, I'm not really aware that there's people. Sometimes my painting shows could last 4 hours, and I, chat for 2 hours of that time.
Right.
Or half an hour.
It just depends, right?
Depends, right? So
how you feel.
It depends on the mood as well, how I'm feeling. And, if I'm feeling chatty, then I'm feeling chatty, But, I also do a lot of physical work, dancing, flexibility. Now I've got a pole installed in my studio.
Right,
I have, gymnastics rings. I mean,
Oh my
full-on
gosh.
gym at my studio, so I'll do fitness videos.
How big is this place?
Pretty big. I got 2
Wow.
studios, and
Okay.
there's a camera and a TV in every single room, including the bathrooms, so that I can see the chat. If I'm far away, I've got a big screen TV in each room.
Okay.
You know, there's LED lights. Every room is set up like a stage. It's a set.
Wow.
Right? So, you know, there's a gym, there's a sauna, there's the bath, there's the bed. You know, there's 2 or 3 studios. There's a large studio.
Different scenes.
Yeah,
right?
there's a fireplace for fireside chats. I mean, for answering questions. I mean,
That's awesome.
I have a kitchen. I used to do a kitchen show called Come Soup Kitchen. And I would make soup, and then I would come in it. And
Actually? Oh
yeah,
my God,
come
that's
soup.
great.
So come soup chicken. I can't even say it fast. Come soup kitchen. That's a new hashtag.
This is wild. Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so that sounds really cool. So you really have quite a variety, quite a setup there for your audience. How did you start conceptualizing that?
You know what? The idea came from looking on these chat sites and
What other people were doing?
Yeah, well, just how the site is structured. So on the main page, it shows the top cameras, so who people have the most viewers. So it's like a grid, like picture the Brady Bunch, you know, squares, but a
Yeah.
bunch of people doing different things to themselves. And, you know, because I'm a visual artist and I'm capable of building things, and I just started building sets. I thought I would be able to attract more viewers if I had more of a visually beautiful set. Then other than someone's like, most cameras will be in like a white room on their bed with no art on the walls, nothing,
Yeah.
zero, you know, or sitting in, you know, a chair at a desk, you know, in front of the computer. And I thought I would turn it into like a set.
Yeah, and that's smart though too. It's one way you can differentiate yourself.
All sorts of toys and
I like fun.
tickle trunks and
Sounds like a lot of fun.
it is fun. Yes, it is fun.
Oh my gosh! And you're still doing that now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
how
don't do
often?
I don't do it as much anymore because
Time consuming.
I travel a lot with my shows now, right? So
Right.
I'm traveling a lot, but when I'm back home, I'm kind of pooped, and I like to spend time with my family and relax,
chill.
right, and paint, you know, without anybody watching, you know. But I've turned it into a bit of a habit where, in order to make artwork now, I need to have an audience watching me. Otherwise, I don't know. It's a weird psychological thing that I have now. I either have to have video camera recording it or a live audience watching it.
Oh wow!
Otherwise, it's like it never happened. And the process towards creating a painting or a piece of art is, for me, that is the art as well. And the painting is more of a byproduct, but yeah, it's more performance based.
It's definitely more performance based.
You
Yeah,
know,
so there's a
and-
bit of a shift there then.
Yeah, a bit of a shift there, and that's when I started really focusing on more performance art stuff, and that's when things started really happening for me and just traveling a lot.
Let's talk about that.
Sure.
Yeah. So so for performance art, in terms of I guess your shows are traveling, what consists of your show? Because I know you do like body physique art. Obviously, you're like live painting. You do a lot of things. There's a lot of things under your belt.
Well, I have different productions that I work with around the world. I travel a lot to New York right now, and I'm setting a real good home base there.
Awesome.
Doing things like body paint rituals, which is full body paintings on large scale canvases for private parties.
Wow.
Like, these are select people in New York that have the amount of money to cover everything, and that's including flights, accommodations,
Awesome.
paint, you know, my time, all these things, and then the art on top of that, right? So I cater a lot of my private performances to art collectors and things like that. But I work with several productions in New York, perform at Club Cumming. Club Cumming, that's Alan Cumming's club.
Oh, okay, cool.
I work with Suzanne Barsh. She's queen of nightlife in New York City. She has Barshland Follies. She has got me shows painting in front of Miley Cyrus, RuPaul.
Oh my gosh.
Some really I did a 50th birthday party for Francois Nars.
Wow.
And, I went to makeup school years ago and I got my makeup diploma.
What?
And I actually worked for NARS Makeup as a traveling makeup artist, believe it or not, and doing beauty makeup
Who are
and things
you?
like that. And,
You have so much experience.
and then I performed in front of NARS himself there
That is
and
super cool.
painted his portrait in 2 minutes. And that was an amazing experience in Malibu.
Oh my gosh. So
Very cool.
Yeah, you've gotten some great opportunities with this. Like, how did it all start? Like, how did the people contact you? Like, you said it all started with, I guess, you said around that time it all started to happen for you. Can you explain more about that?
Yeah, that was it's going on 6 years now. That's when I first started traveling, doing speed penis painting. And that was an idea that kind of fell in my lap after me posting these large-scale penis painting videos where I would be painting for hours and hours and post them on YouTube, and got a little bit of traction from that and a little bit of followers, but that went on for about 5 years of doing that. And then 6 years ago I got a phone call from Fremantle Entertainment. This is the Got Talent.
Like an agency?
They're the people that started all the Got Talents.
I see. Okay.
They own that brand. And the first one was in Paris, France. And they called me and they said, "Hey, we saw you on YouTube. Can you paint a portrait in less than 3 minutes, and can you speak French?" And I said, "No problem." Back in my mind, I don't speak any French, and I have never done that before, but I figured this is a great opportunity. And they said, if you can put together a little audition tape saying hello in French and introducing yourself, and then paint his name is Gilbert Rozan, and he was the owner. I'm not sure if he still is now, but he was the owner of the Got Talent franchise, and
Wow.
he was one of the judges on France Got Talent, so he was one of the 4 judges, older guy. Anyways, I painted his portrait. I figured out a way of doing it quick, and that's when I started meddling around with different art materials so that my penis could glide across the surface,
Okay.
and not hurt myself when I could paint fast. Yeah, I did the audition tape. They flew me down there to Paris, and I did the audition, and it went viral.
Awesome.
It went very viral, and that video still goes viral. And once that got out there, then I started traveling different cities, different Got Talents, Romania, Croatia, London, Paris, Japan, going to Germany in a couple months here.
Wow.
Yeah, really all over, doing portraits of judges. Mostly male judges.
Interesting.
Yeah, mostly male judges. In the European countries, some of them, they don't allow full frontal nudity.
Okay.
And even just doing anything to do with penis and touching, because I'm putting paint on my hand, I'm touching my genitals, that's a sexual act. So that's where censorship comes in. And, even though I'm not like stroking myself.
No.
But I have many times, and because if I'm on TV, I usually will do that. Because it's already happening.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of how that started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's such an incredible journey. You've
Yep.
come a long way.
It's hard on the body.
Yeah, it's actually like painful because canvas isn't too
I've had to
smooth.
retire like 3-4 times from doing penis painting.
Really?
Unfortunately, because of health reasons and health scares, I guess.
Like what?
Well, I
if
mean,
you want to share.
yeah, just like I got so busy doing it, I was doing shows every night for, let's say a week to 2 weeks straight, sometimes bouncing from one production to the next and doing 2 shows in one night.
Oh, wow.
And
so exhausting.
when I'm penis painting, there's a couple different ways you can do penis painting. You can paint with your penis flaccid.
Mm-hmm.
That is just,
hanging out.
au natural.
Oh, natural.
and then there's let's say there's 3 paint. You can do semi-erect, and then you can do full-on erect.
What's the easiest?
Because the penis is a tool, as a brush, and if it changes the shape, it changes the application. So you can get more detail from a flaccid penis because the skin's not tight.
Right.
But you can paint more like use it more of like a pencil, I guess you could say, or a marker if it's
trying
erect.
to visualize this.
Plus, it's more of a showmanship thing, and if you're coming out and you're just you're full bore there, well, it's more impressive. Let's just say when your brush is bigger. And so I fluff him up beforehand. Sometimes I will actually tie him off to keep the blood in there.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that. Okay.
Yeah, so there's and then there's barrier creams and things like that you put on to, because the penis is one of the skin on it's some of the most susceptible to, you know, toxins, poisons, things like that.
You gotta be careful.
So when you're putting like paint on your penis, you know, I'm very specific with the type of brand
I was going to ask you, what kind of paint is it?
I use acrylic based,
Okay.
but I use a high quality pigment that doesn't have much fillers in it. I try and stay away from neons because they sting. They sting your balls even more.
From personal experience?
Yep, 100%. But sometimes for the sake of art, I'm willing to sacrifice myself, become a martyr for my art, and this is where some of the problems come into with longevity of penis painting, and if you don't have the balance and keeping the care and before and after, and you know, you can really harm yourself.
Yeah.
So there's more to penis painting than slapping paint on your dick and swiping it around a few times.
Wow.
Right?
There's a whole science behind it.
There's science behind it, keeping it well lubricated. Paint dries quick. So, you know, and the longer you're painting, the longer you're tied off, the more paint you have on there, the longer it takes to clean off. I mean...
Gosh. Yeah, there's a whole like aftercare.
And that's even before you even want to have any type of a sex life. You know what I mean? Because when you're using your body for what it's not supposed to be used for, well, you need to give it downtime. So, you know, having relationships and things like that are a bit challenging at times. But you know, I always tell people that I'm married to my art. I'm an artsexual, and
I like that.
Art fucking gets me off enough. So I'm very happy, and it pays the bills.
There we go. Cheers to that. So going back to like a sentiment that you said earlier, like you wanted to be a famous artist traveling the world. Would you say that you have reached success?
Yeah, you know what? This is one of the things I struggle with even to this day, and I think about that question often. But the way I think about art and what my art is has changed over the years, and you know, I always wanted to just paint in my studio, paint a canvas, have art shows, and I was very happy with that. But because art comes in many different forms, I'm very blessed to be able to be doing what I'm doing today. And I think that any type of artist, if they put their mind into it and kind of open themselves up to their creative process and their art, it'll take care of everything. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm a full-time artist. I don't really worry about anything anymore. But I've also started meditating, and I'm a very spiritual person. And when using your body, when using the one thing that you have in life that's yours, and you get to do whatever you want with it, when you're doing that all in, it's a different form of spirituality that's really hard to put into words. And that's, you know, where expression comes in, and mm-hmm. you know, that's what expression is a form of spirituality. Zen.
Totally.
You know,
like an out-of-body experience,
yes. Dick
right?
Zen.
Dick Zen.
Dick
Hashtag
Zen.
that, guys. Hashtag Dick Zen. Well, I guess on that note, there are quite a bit of questions here. There's like a lot of questions, so we're gonna hop over on that side now. So, of course, as I expected, there's a good range of legitimate questions and very silly ones, but let's just get into it. So first question, oil-based paints, do you use them? If yes, do you use solvent to clean yourself off after? Isn't it stinky?
I stay away from oil-based paints.
Right.
It's all acrylic. Yeah, I've used tempera. I mean, that's what kids use. So, okay. But you want to have good quality paint if you're making canvases that people are paying a top dollar for and collecting, and you want the longevity of the material to last the ages. You don't want any discoloration or anything like that. Yeah, I use high quality acrylic paints.
Right.
And I use hot water to clean it off.
How long does it take you to clean it off? I guess
it depends how much I'm covered and how many layers of paint that I have on. Sometimes during some large paintings that require different colors, I'll do cleanings between colors so that I don't contaminate the colors. Right. So there'd be multiple cleaning sessions along the way, or just one at the very end if you're using colors that you don't mind mixing and you're aware of that.
Okay, great. Your painting is influenced by Impressionism. Are there any artists you study in particular that you look up to? I know you mentioned a few earlier.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Pointillism, Seurat. Let's say Monet is an Impressionist. Mm-hmm. I love Vincent van Gogh, but even though he's more considered the father of modernism, mm-hmm. You see the brushstroke in his works. I don't do too much blending. I like to see the stroke. Because then you can see remnants of the artist or of my penis, which is the whole idea behind it. Mm-hmm. So I like showing the tip, veins and things like that in there.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. That's so interesting. I love your art under Combines. Where did you study art? How did you get into it? I guess you mentioned Emily Carr.
Yeah.
And how did you get into it? You said you've been painting since.
You know what? I took my art for granted for many years, and throughout high school, it was the one course that I would get straight A's in, and I would be failing everything else because I was a bit of a bad boy in school and just kind of went to school half the time, and the rest of the time I was partying and doing things I shouldn't be doing.
Didn't we all go through that?
But I had an art school teacher, and he saw something in me, and he created a course specifically around a group of students in our grade 11 and 12 course, and it was geared towards getting these talented students into art school. More specifically, Emily Carr. Mm-hmm. And there were 8 of us in my class, and we all got in. I still remember the time getting in.
Is art always a pathway that you wanted to go then?
100%.
Yeah.
Well, because I took it for granted, up until I got accepted into Emily Carr, I started thinking a lot more about art than,
anything else?
Yeah, this was a long time ago, and I was doing a lot of drawing. I wanted to be. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I didn't take any painting courses. I'm self-taught painter.
Wow.
But I consider myself self-taught on most grounds. But with Emily Carr, what they do with artists, they open doors for you. They give you a platform where you can practice art and see where you want to go with it, I guess, and give you options. I took a lot of human anatomy. I was fascinated with the human body, and that's what got me into performance art and got me into building my body mm-hmm. to become a tool to create, and a tool just more of like a body that's art, and kind of like a statue, like Michelangelo's the David, and the human canon. And I studied art history with the ideal beauty and what different artists, how they perceived beauty or how they portrayed beauty. And I mean, sculptures and things like that you see at the Louvre and, at the MoMA and, Metropolitan Museum and mm-hmm. all over the world, these amazing statues.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It was inspired for me on a different level with art and the human body. And when you have a better understanding of the human body, and then you can portray it certain ways.
Totally. So many intersecting layers there.
Yeah, and then when you start using your body as a tool, I mean, you want to be capable of, to be able to do it you want to be an art machine, I guess. So, bodybuilding, physical training, flexibility, health, fitness, diet, all these things.
They're all intertwined.
They all intertwine, and if you don't have the energy to put paint on your penis, well, then you're not going to get very far. So, I mean, I also battle a few diseases that I have that have been inspiring me to, focus more on body. And, I've got kidney disease, and, that prevents me from eating certain things. So, but instead of getting a kidney transplant, I eat healthy, and I'm very aware of things.
Yes. And you look great.
Thank you.
Here we go. Is there any particular meaning when painting naked?
Is there any meaning?
Yeah. Does it symbolize anything for you? Is there any certain feeling?
You know what? The one thing that always comes to mind when wearing clothes, when making art, I find that with clothing and the different fashions and things like that, when you take all those off, you get down to the bare bones of who we are as a civilization, human beings. You know, we're all kind of the same underneath these clothes, these facades, these costumes, these whatever. When I'm painting and I'm completely naked, I feel like it is one of the most purest ways of art creation. It's free of brands, it's free of labels, stereotypes,
right.
All these things that mainstream people go through on a daily basis and spend a lot of money on. And, you know, a lot of the clothing that I wear gets covered in paint very quickly, so I just don't wear it.
Great.
Yes.
I am the same way. Well, that's why I'm a stripper, so
yeah, right.
It goes hand in hand, right? And plus, it seems like you're almost like exhibitionist-y as well. So
yeah, you know, as much as I guess I am 100% an exhibitionist.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not a label that I like to take on, but anybody that's a performer is exhibiting themselves. So, you know.
Why don't you want to take on the label?
I don't like labels at all.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
puts you in a
better.
box.
They're better on soup cans, is what Andy Warhol used
Yeah,
to say.
same.
You know, so I just leave labels for other things. But
Nice.
even just being a naked artist is. That's a label. I'm kind of labeling
too.
myself, you know,
Right.
but whatever, you gotta have something.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have perverts who watch performance art just to see you naked, and how do you deal with it?
100%. Yep. I love perverts. I have a huge fan base of them. Hashtag Team BRF.
Do all the hashtags below later, guys.
Go team.
Yes.
You know what? I have because my art is it's my body, it's painting, it's this, it's that, it's of many forms of things, and I have fans that tune in for whatever fetishes that they have, and art is a fetish, however you want to look at it. So I like to please everybody, and I like to exhibit it all. So I've got some people that like to watch my cam and like to see me sniffing my armpits, or showing my feet, or
Oh, yeah, that's
kissing my biceps, or bouncing my pecs. There's people out there that like pissing, there's shitting, there's all sorts of things out there, and when you get into art and fetishism, you don't have to be anything. You don't have to be anything at all. You just do what you like to do, and only do what makes you happy. And that's what my mom told me the other day.
That's great advice.
Yeah, right.
Honestly, I love all the perverts out there, because it's such a big part of my fan base too. Is
100%.
that
Humans are sexual beings.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the word pervert. You just. Well, I don't know. What is the definition of perversion? I don't even know. You know what I mean? Don't even know anymore.
No. How do you deal with the public's reaction to what you consider performance art that has sexual content?
How do I say that again?
How do you deal with the public's reaction to what you consider performance art that has sexual content?
Well, I think that's a bit of a vague question.
Yeah, it's pretty vague. Well,
because how do I deal with it? Because some people love it. Some people, I used to get a lot more criticism back in the day, but now I think with internet and people are very much more open-minded. I've had the privilege of being able to travel to different cities and different cultures and seeing how they react to the same act that I'm doing in different cities and stuff. I mean, I remember roller skating in Bucharest in Romania, and people were laughing at me roller skating because they just don't see people roller skating, and that's tame. I mean, I had my shirt off, but you'd get men, women, people laughing. It's weird.
It's weird.
But then you go to New York and I roller skate around and people don't even turn their heads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like, because
different.
they've seen more things, they've experienced more forms of art, and
They're more exposed.
Like, I'm going to Cologne in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And they've wanted my show to come there for the past 2-3 years, but they felt that they weren't ready for it, is what they said. And live TV media and stuff like that, they have to be very careful with what they show over there, and I have to be careful going there and showing certain things.
Right.
And just the act of touching my penis on stage, on a, family-oriented TV show, even though they put a star over top of my penis, it's still a very wild thing for them to see. And
yeah, it's risque.
And so just the mentality of people.
Right.
But I love pushing boundaries in art, and I feel that that's how you make change in any type of culture, or not change, but evolution, I guess. And
or progress, hopefully.
Progress, yes, that's a better word.
Well, I guess for the context in that person is an artist, and she is also a sex worker, and she was wanting to kind of marry the two somehow, but is struggling with that. So,
if I was to give any type of words to inspire, I would say to just do it. And I like to quote Andy Warhol's got so many great quotes.
Awesome.
He would say that he wouldn't think too much about what he was making. He would let others think about it when he's showing it to them. Let them think about it, and while they're thinking, make more. And just the act of making more and doing, as opposed to not doing and questioning too much, doesn't get you anywhere. And once you do something new, once you do something that you're new to, you will learn something more about yourself, and your art will go down a different direction, which it would never have the opportunity to do. So art leads me down roads. It takes me all different places. I have no idea where it's taking me, but I just know that I put confidence in it.
Yeah.
And if you're doing something that you're passionate about, other people will follow suit. They won't judge, depending on how open they are, I guess. But
that's the thing.
But even the ones out there that are the haters, I love them just as much. I don't have anybody hating me anymore. Anymore.
Before?
I mean, I've been flagged, I've been banned, I've been, and it's people pressing buttons that are doing this kind of stuff. If they're having a bad day.
Right. Totally.
People are just having a bad day.
And that's the next question. It's like, do people still get offended with your art, or do not care?
I mean, I to say I don't care. I do care, but I don't care because I'm going to do it anyways. What was the question?
Oh yeah, do people still get offended with your art, or do you just not care if they are or not?
It depends on what I'm doing. I mean, some people just don't want to see certain things, but if they're following you and they're going to see it anyways. So They have to be willing to have an open mind. If you're going to follow me, that's for sure. But, if I haven't, one thing that I've had to get used to was with emails and putting yourself out there. Like, I get emails every day from people. I don't know who these people are. When they see me perform and they see me doing what I do, it's like it triggers something in them where they feel they need to connect with me and share something quirky about themselves, or something that's very private, and how I've inspired them to do something that they've been unsure about doing. And I get ideas from people, and people just words of confidence. I don't get any hate mail. Never have had hate mail. I did have one actually.
And you did? Tell us.
The one that it was, and it was fair enough, and it changed the way I did a lot of things because I respected this person's. I would wear military uniforms, cop outfits, RCMP, these kind of things. Uniforms for strip shows. Where I come up dressed as a Mountie or a police officer.
Yeah.
I have real outfits. These are things worn by ex-military, ex-police force. And just because a friend of mine just happened to, I'm not naming names, but I had a hookup to get some real stuff that's illegal to wear. Wore it for many years and did many shows. And then I got an email once from a guy who's, He was a war veteran, and he sent me a very long email explaining to me who he was and what he had done. He'd been to Iraq, this and that, and how he felt that I was dishonoring the fallen soldiers by wearing medals that they had earned on uniforms that I was using in my strip shows and things like this. And very valid point. And so from that point on, I started making my own costumes. I got rid of all the medals and made my own, really. And made it more of a performance costume as opposed to like a real military outfit.
Right.
But that was the only hate mail I got.
Okay. Yes. Well, I would say hate mail, but like...
Well, not hate mail, I mean criticism.
Feedback.
Yeah.
Right? So, I guess we kind of already answered this earlier, but how do you make your money?
I make my money from selling original artwork to collectors, webcamming, making that artwork, webcamming. I'm becoming a full union member for IATSE, for the TV film industry in Vancouver, as a scenic artist. A scenic artist is someone who is part of the paint department and paints hero art for set. So cool. I work for Warner Brothers right now.
Awesome.
Maybe after hearing this, they won't hire me back because Warner Brothers, and I do a lot. You can see a lot of my artwork on like Netflix and different TV shows. Cool. Like The 100 is one of them. There's a lot of abstract paintings. No penis paintings in there.
Darn.
I'd like to say that I threw a couple strokes in there, but can't say that on here. But aside from that, I travel. I do TV shows. I do the Got Talent TV shows, and I do a lot of private parties. Do private paint parties for art collectors in different cities, and I'm just branching off, doing all sorts of things.
Do all the things.
All the things.
I thought I did a lot, and then I met you, so you win. Can you double down on artist grants, etc.? Asking as a fellow artist who very separately does sex work and wants to merge the two, so it's the same person. Yeah,
grants are something I've never dabbled in, and even in art school, they didn't really touch on grants. But there's money out there for artists, and government provides, and I do not take part in it. And
no.
I don't think that they would. You never know.
Okay, now we have some silly. Of course, these are gonna happen. Can you paint me?
Yes, 100%.
There you go.
I can paint you. I do commission paintings. I do several forms of portraits. I do a more traditional artist muse sitting. This is where you would come, or you would fly me to you, and you would sit there and I would pose you, and it's a more traditional artist muse portrait sitting.
Like royalty.
Yeah, like so royalty, cool. And they take a little bit longer. I can paint a portrait in that sense, 10-15 minutes. But most of the time I do commissions based off of photographs. People will send in 2 or 3 pics to me. I'll choose whichever one I think looks good for the composition, and then I put together a little performance video and rip my pants off and swing my dick in there. And then send you a video of it, and you can put the painting up on your wall and show the video to whoever you want.
There we go. Okay, you don't have to answer these next questions because they're crazy. How big is your dick?
It's funny. I was gonna answer that before you even said it. It all depends on how happy I am.
There you go, guys.
Do they want an actual number?
I guess they want an actual number.
Depending on how happy I am, 9 to 10 inches.
Okay, Francesco, that's for you. Would you ever fuck a man, Francesco? These fucking questions.
Say that again.
Would you ever fuck a man?
Would I ever fuck a man? What kind of a question is this?
No, I'm just like, you don't have to answer these. Do not worry about it. We'll skip.
I am an artsexual. I only have sex with art.
There you go.
So if you consider yourself art, well then put together a proposal, and then I'll put it into consideration.
What is love for you? I stumped you.
You stumped me. Yeah, right.
I told you all the questions are all over the fucking place. Like, you have a shot of whiskey for that one.
I think love is you mean between two people, Because
it just says what is love for you.
What is love for me?
It's very subjective, so really
True.
it's to you how you want to define it.
I guess pure happiness. I guess pure happiness. I mean, that's a big big question.
It is a big question for another episode.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, right.
Right. Oh, how can we find out when and where you perform?
On my Instagram.
There you go.
Yep, I started posting it in my bio.
Right. And at the end of the show, we are going to plug everything, so I guess we'll do that for the end. Considering the nature of your profession, have you insured your penis?
Yeah, I insured my penis with Lloyd's of London for $1.5 million.
Oh my god. Love your answer.
That was like 6-7 years ago, and now that's gone, and now I just take care of my dick, and hopefully no one chops it off.
Yeah.
Because that was in the stipulation with Lloyd's of London. There was dismemberment was in there, and if it was dismembered, I would get $1.5 million.
There you go.
And I'm not even kidding. That's what it was.
And I guess we already kind of went over those. When did you decide to use your penis as a painting instrument? We already kind of answered that. And then the last question, have you ever come while painting?
Yes, many times. Many times.
Mixed in with the paint?
Yep, I've done cum paintings. I've done some large-scale portraits where I would come on their face afterwards. More specifically, like I've painted Donald Trump several times. And actually, I painted his face, and I thrusted myself through his mouth, and I made him gag on it. And then I cummed on his face afterwards. I try and get it right in the eye.
Were you successful?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you know what? For me, cum is it's the creative juice. Let's say it's kind of like paint.
I was gonna ask,
it's kind of like paint, and even the consistency is very much like paint. And when you come on a painting that's been dried, it stains the painting and changes the color. And I've even done cum paintings on like a type of metallic surface where it rusts, and just using cum for different creative purposes. Yes.
Well, that's the end of our questions. So most importantly, where can we find you?
BrentRayFraser.com is the best place. I was recently banned from YouTube, so you can't find me there anymore.
Damn it.
But you can still Google me on there and see my many performances, like France Got Talent and some of these other ones. Mm-hmm. I'm an avid Instagrammer, and you can find me there at the nakedartist_official. And I have a Vimeo account. That's just Brent Ray Fraser. But if you want to find me on Chatterbait, well, you can go looking for me on there. Go looking for me on there. Brent Ray Fraser. I'm all over the place.
There we go. Well, it was so much fun chatting with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And another episode for you guys live next week, next Sunday. And don't forget to like, rate, subscribe, follow, review, all the things. Strip by Sia. And my personal account, Sia Stuff. If you have any questions, hate mail, whatever, send it over that way. And we will catch you guys next week. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Brent.
Yay.
Bye. Listening to Stripped by Sia, produced and hosted by Steph Sia, aka Kimchi.